Well, here we are, folks. We are back at Monza for the GT Cup Open Championship. It's round 4, it's qualifying 2. After an exciting event yesterday, of course, Jan Larison taking yet another win. He's going to be looking to once again score big here again this afternoon. John de Wilde, who will also be looking to score big as well, claimed an AM win. Once again, one of the most consistent performers in this grid lineup, but we will have just over 19.5 minutes of action in front of you. As you can see the timer ticking away as green flags go live here at Monza. You can just see the Porsches just getting a little bit squirrely out to the rear at the first chicane. But my name is George Morgan, once again bringing you all the action here in the GT Cup Open. Joining me, alongside me, is Ian Silvestri. Ian, how are you?
I'm very well, George, thank you, and great to be here at Monza on, thankfully, a day where the rain has passed after the rainpour, the showers, which were persistent yesterday, but we have bolted on the Michelin slick tyres. The track is still greasy, and this will be a thrilling qualifying session. We had GTOpen out on circuit just a few moments ago. The track got better and better every lap. It's basically last across the line. We expect to take pole position. So we look at Lucas Valkyrie out on circuit at the moment. This is car 52, Nicolas van Dierendonk. Talented driver, one of 4 cars for Q1 track racing. Jan Larison extending his lead in the championship. 20-minute qualifying session this morning, and of course race 2 this afternoon. A big incident yesterday for Florin Tincescu. And we're just waiting to see if the Romanian team were able to repair the car. Just coming out onto the circuit, Jahida Fatzel Karim. He had a big incident yesterday which brought out the safety car towards the end of the race. This is Glauco Solieri for Team Ghinzani Motorsport, the legendary Italian team. In the background is the French driver, Jahida Faisal Karim. In 007, the Jetcraft-backed Aston Martin. So the car's out onto the circuit just to get a feel for the circuit. It is dry for the most part, but there are damp parts around the circuit, particularly as they go through La Curva Grande, the Roger chicane, up to the Lesmo curves where that trees hang over the circuit and drop rain, which has fallen overnight onto the track.
Yeah, licensed to thrill, that certainly the 007 Aston Martin for street art racing. As the cars now get ready to get set for yet another blistering qualifying session. We're just seeing them now make their way into the Roger chicane. Just seeing the car there, car number 13, Huame Font, just getting a little bit out of shape, but managing to keep control of the car. Obviously just enlisting a purple first sector as well. On a real fast run, heading down in towards the Lesmo, first Lesmo. As they now make their way through. So we've got 11 cars registered to compete this weekend. Lots of action out on track as they now venture through the second Lesmo and then down towards the Ascari chicane as well. Monza itself, the Autodromo Nacional de Monza, 5.793 kilometers, that's 3.6 miles. Track opened back in 1922, broke ground on the 15th of May. Little over a few months later, it would then open up for racing. You got some very speedy workers here in Italy, that's for sure, as we're now watching them make their way through. Oh, flick of the rear there from Huame Font as he now runs through the Ascari chicane. So fast-paced around that sector, you have to be very wary of the curbs, but at the same time, you have to tackle them.
Certainly getting a feel for the circuit here this morning, a 20-minute qualifying session for GT Cup. This is the 4th round of 5 for 2022. The series starting at Paul Ricard in the south of France earlier on in the season. That was just after the end of winter at the start of the year. In the springtime, then going to Spa-Francorchamps. A scorching hot day at Budapest at the Hungaroring. This is round 4 at Monza, and in 3 weeks' time, the title will be decided at Barcelona in the northeast of Spain. Jan Larison, after the victory yesterday, is looking good to take the title. He's in P3 at the moment. Dirk Schouten led most of yesterday's race, but an intelligent drive from Jan Larison. Just waited and waited and waited, and then took the lead, and then ultimately the victory. John de Wilde, a good, strong, aggressive drive from John in car 56. He's come home in 2nd place. As you look at Huame Font, sharing this car with former rally racer from Andorra, Joan Vinez, locks up. Does Font into the Roger chicane, does nicely to hang onto it on still a wet track, accelerates over the curb, the front wheels both off the ground. That was quite spectacular, and up into the Lesmo curves.
Yeah, absolutely right. Huame Font currently holds the fastest time so far. Still plenty of time to go, though. 15 minutes. Glauco Solieri also making his way through too. There is the street art Aston Martin. and being driven by Yahid Faisal Karim. Heads through now into the next chicane at the Rogier. Obviously, just to revert back to John de Wilde's impressive performance yesterday as well. Of course, back in 2019, won the Dutch Supercars title. So he is a champion in his own right, John de Wilde. So do expect some brilliant performances from him. He's been great all season long. We, of course, have seen him take the AM win on quite a few occasions. Lucas Valkra in place of Dirk Schouten here in this session. He's fourth fastest as things stand. And obviously in the pits as well, as you can see on our graphics, as we're now watching Street Art, certainly with Yahid Faisal Karim make its way down towards the next corner, while Font has found a purple second sector, so he is really starting to go to work now. He'll look to try and improve his deficit over the top end. Nicholas van Dierendonk goes fourth fastest as well, while Font now up towards the line. Jan Laruisen has just taken the second fastest split. First place still for Wame Font at 155.130, but Jan Laruisen, who is now making his way through the third sector, could topple Font's time. He has still got a little bit more to take. He's got to try and nestle his way down into the Parabolica. Might get a helpful tow, though, off the Street Art Aston Martin. Purple in that second sector, as I said, just cuts through the inside of Yahid Faisal Karim in his Aston Martin, now rounding the Parabolica, heading down the straight yet again. John de Wilde goes fastest now in the second sector into the pits. Jan Laruisen obviously not happy with something, but John de Wilde could potentially tee up a first place position for him currently in this qualifying session.
Certainly could. Jan Laruisen has taken 6 victories in the championship in 2022. John de Wilde, a really impressive performance from John yesterday, a strong, aggressive drive. As we watch the Dutch driver come across the line, the Belgian driver, gee, I make that mistake all too often. Well, Belgium was controlled by the Dutch, if we go back a century or two, sideways as he locks up into the chicane. An impressive run yesterday from John de Wilde, car 56, currently in position 3. One of 4 cars for Q1 track racing. Incidentally, Charlie Hollings, a super experienced British driver, has just left pit lane in the 76 Lamborghini, comes out onto the circuit. And the same for car 53, Lucas Valkra, currently in position 4, sharing the car with Dirk Schouten, who led most of yesterday's race.
Yeah, great to see Charlie Hollings here in the championship as well. He's now watching John de Wilde now make his way through this next right-hander. Currently, well, he was third fastest. Now Zanini has taken that pleasure off him. Stefano Zanini now up into third. Wame Font still leads. Jan Laruisen still in the pits. As we now look to see John de Wilde now head down the Sergilio straight. We'll look to try and get a nice build-up of speed before venturing into the Ascari chicane. He's got Yahid Faisal Karim just ahead. Now Van Dierendonk is 5th fastest, ahead of Lucas Valkra, Solieri, Fabiani as well further down. Looks like we can now see, oh wow, we're getting very tight into Ascari there. John de Wilde leaving nothing to chance. Outlap now for Jan Laruisen, who'll be looking to try and take pole, or that pole position, away from Wame Font, who is now also in the pit lane too. 2.6 seconds to find for Jan Laruisen at least. 2.7 at least if he wants to grab pole, as we now see them make their way through the final part of this circuit. John de Wilde now, who is just over 4.5 seconds behind that of the leader. Glauco Solieri goes 5th quickest. It's now de Wilde heads up towards the line. What's it going to be for him? He went purple in the first sector, lost a little bit of time in the second, goes second fastest ahead of that of Jan Laruisen. As you now take a look at the replay, this is heading into the Rogier, skipping over those curbs. Wow, just look at the commitment to every single apex. A brilliant display, and this is Ascari, where he tied up with Yahid Faisal Karim. Brilliant car control to get through the inside of that Aston Martin. John de Wilde wowing the spectators here this morning.
Yahid Faisal Karim will be looking for redemption after a forgettable race in wet conditions yesterday. The track is dry through the speed trap, 266 k's an hour for John de Wilde. A flash of the lights from Stefano Zanini in the background. This is Lucas Valkra.
Little twitch.
Off the road into the gravel, keep it straight. Brings it back onto the circuit. Hits nothing. No harm done there, luckily, for car 53, which is currently in position 7 after leading most of the race yesterday. Stefano Zanini comes across the line. Car 44 in position 4 at the moment, doesn't improve. At the moment, 3 seconds off pole position, halfway through qualifying 2 here at Monza. Locks up, under brakes down into the first chicane. Turns in and starts another flying lap. Zanini in position 4. from Glauco Solieri. Nicholas van Dierendonk has just left pit lane as well. Valkyrie, who we were watching just a moment ago, Fabio Fabiani, Jahid Faisal Karim, Charlie Hollings in the 76 Lamborghini, which had issues stopping out on circuit yesterday in race 1. And we believe that the Romanian team, Florina Tincescu, will not take part in qualifying. They may be able to start from the back of the grid later this afternoon for race 2. John de Wilde on a flying lap goes purple in sector 1 by some 2/10. Now 4/10 if we combine the first 2 sectors. John de Wilde, P2 yesterday in the race, comes across the line. He's P2 on the grid at the moment. Goes up into pole position with a 154.341. Nice lap by John de Wilde, P1 in car 56.
Just under 8/10 quicker of that of Huame Font as well. Charlie Hollings went 5th quickest as well, so a great display from Charlie Hollings as he looks to get that Lamborghini Super Trofeo up to speed as well. Jahid Faisal Karim now up to 8th fastest in the Street Art Aston. So a nice lap from him, getting himself ahead of Lucas Valkyrie. And you've got Fabiani then down in 10th. As we now watch the cars now venture down towards the Roger chicane. Glauco Solieri in the mix of this too. John de Wilde just in the throes of it, currently sits on P1. Huame Font is also out on track looking to improve. No such improvement just yet, though. John de Wilde has improved on his first sector already. Of course, we'll have to see how he handles it with the traffic that's ahead of him. Obviously, this is going to cause a little concern in the second sector as he tries to find a way through. Opts not to make the move into Lesmo 2.
That will cost him. That lap is ruined.
Absolutely. Getting very much tied up with Glauco Solieri there. Jan Larijsen going behind Stefano Zanini, who now holds on to 3rd. Lucas Valkyrie now up to 5th, so he's found a little bit of pace too. He's gone ahead of Charlie Hollings with Glauco Solieri in 7th. We're actually watching Solieri out on track right now with Van Dierendonk, who is currently sat 8th. But obviously, we're just watching now Charlie Hollings, who's gone purple in the first 2 sectors. So the man who was contesting in GTOpen, or has done this season, obviously partnering the likes of Omar Jackson this year for Kessel Racing Ferrari. He's now here in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo car here in the GT Cup. Rounds the final corner at the Parabolica, and a first visit certainly in qualifying in the GT Cup Open for Charlie Hollings. This could be a super lap as he comes across the line. Is it going to be pole? It certainly is. A 153.840 for Charlie Hollings, and goes just over half a second quicker of John de Wilde, who is now down into 2nd. Jan Larijsen in 3rd, who's also out on the lap looking to improve. Huame Font has just gone purple in the 2nd sector.
Fabulous lap, fabulous time from Charlie Hollings in the Sol Lamborghini Team 76, joining us in GT Cup for the penultimate round of the series. That was a super lap, 153.840 to go P1. He was in P8 prior to that. Winds it up and goes to provisional pole position well into the second half of the race. Charlie Hollings locks up into the Roger chicane. Now in his 3rd decade of racing, Fabio Fabiani has just left the pits in car 9. So Charlie Hollings on pole position with a string of Porsches behind him, and he goes purple again in this lap as well. In the first sector, comes out of the Lesmo curves. Huame Font goes to the top with a 153.158, so Charlie does need to improve.
Certainly does. He's purple in the first sector, though, considerably. In fact, just over 0.6 of a second. In fact, not far under 6.5 tenths, in fact, of improvement. So great display from Hollings. Looks like there's been a track deleted, though, for Huame Font, because he's now back down to 4th. So obviously the steward's not happy with the limits on that one. Charlie Hollings, though, can greater advance his cause right now. He has certainly gone quicker again in the 2nd sector, so he's finding more and more time as it goes on. He has got the last corner. Oh, there's a car off at the back. Is that John de Wilde? John de Wilde off the track. That's a very familiar looking purple car. He's spun it out of Ascari, but we'll keep our eyes peeled on Charlie Hollings as he now comes around the Parabolica bend. Now the Lamborghini Super Trofeo, who has made its first appearance. Larijsen has gone to 1st, but for how long? Because here comes Hollings now. It needs to be a good 3rd sector. I think it might be, not enough though. 2nd is where he remains by considerable half a second. That lap from Larijsen was sensational, and we still have a yellow flag at turn 10.
Into the 152s now goes the championship leader, locks up deep under brakes. Does Charlie Hollings. He was on provisional pole position. As Larijsen goes around, no, it's John de Wilde, apologies. John de Wilde has gone around at the exit of the Ascari chicane. Hits nothing, rejoins John de Wilde, who was on P1 earlier in the session, now in P3. As you watch Jahid Faisal Karim in the Aston Martin go through the Parabolica. He'll be very thankful for a dry circuit yesterday. Went off right there in the gravel all by himself in atrocious conditions yesterday. Comes across the line to start another flying lap. So the order is the championship leader, Jan Lorison, a 1:52.649. Charlie Hollings on your screen a moment ago. He's P2, a purple middle sector last time out for Charlie. John de Wilde, who just had a moment. Wame Font was on P1 but had a time deleted. Locks up, does the Spaniard down into the chicane. Sharing this car with the Andorran car 13. Vaporo Motorsport, the legendary Italian team, which has competed in just about every GT championship in Europe. Charlie Hollings goes purple. Jan Lorison does likewise. You watch the championship leader down the back straight. He was purple until Charlie Hollings in the Super Trofeo spec Lamborghini went purple in Sector 1, purple in Sector 2. Here comes the championship leader, 6 wins in 2022 across the line. Can Jan Lorison go to the top and stay there? A 1:52.236. Wait for Charlie Hollings, comes across the line. The V10 Super Trofeo Lamborghini winds up, driven by the Brit. Charlie Hollings goes position 1, a 1:52.170. Provisional pole position for Team 76. Charlie Hollings behind the wheel in the dying stages of qualifying 2.
Yeah, just under 700ths of a second quicker than that of Jan Lorison. Charlie Hollings doing an excellent job indeed. Obviously, Jan Lorison, oh, right, okay. That Jan Lorison has taken that P1 back. Charlie Hollings, I believe, may have had a time deletion there. He's now down into second. And we've also getting a call for Fabio Fabiani. He's got to report, the team manager has got to report to race control immediately on that one. But Charlie Hollings getting his time deleted for cutting turn 4 and 5. So he no longer holds on to pole position. Very nearly a second gap between that of Jan Lorison and Charlie Hollings. Lucas Valkra down into third. Quite a hefty gap between Hollings and Valkra right now, but a great display from Lucas. I'm sure Dirk Schutten be watching that. Wame Font now goes third quickest. Charlie Hollings not resting on his laurels. Went purple for a brief moment in the first sector. Now makes his way down the Serragilio straight. Jan Lorison has taken the purple privilege in second sector, though this time. Can Charlie Hollings retake it back? We've got just over 6.5 minutes still to go. Hollings now down in towards Ascari. He is still improving on his time, but it's not quite enough to topple Jan Lorison, who is still going quick. He has got a purple in the second sector. Charlie Hollings holds the purple in the first sector. It's the third sector that will surely decide it on this particular lap. Certainly we still have time for them to do at least one more run after this one, so it's not the end of the world, but nevertheless they'll want to take it while the iron's hot. In comes Charlie Hollings now around the parabolica curves. Purple, as I said in the first sector. Jan Lorison has gone fastest of all with a 1:51.599. Purple in sector 2 and 3 this time. Charlie Hollings also making his way through. Wame Font! Wow, skipping over the curves, the sausage curves, and the Rogier. The car wouldn't appreciate that. It got so tight, but very nearly losing the car altogether. Charlie Hollings just waiting to see whether he can go to the top end of things. It doesn't look like it. He remains in second, a 1:52.523. Jan Lorison, though, with a beast of a lap, nearly a second faster than that of Charlie Hollings, a 1:51.599 to hold on to top spot for now.
Deja vu flashbacks of the World Endurance Championship race held here at this circuit, at that very corner, just a few months ago when a car was destroyed over one of those controversial curbs. Wame Font, watch this, locks up into the Roger chicane, over the grass, gets airborne. Luckily for him, the car was in a straight line on the brakes. Wow, takes a deep breath, and Wame Font not only holds on to it, but holds on to position 3 as well. That was a big moment. We saw a car destroyed 2 months ago in spectacular fashion when it came in facing sideways. Wame Font has come across the line and improved up into position 2, but that time may well be deleted. On your screen at the moment is the championship leader, Jan Lorison. P1 at the moment with a 1:59.599. Accelerates out of the Ascari chicane. An intelligent driver is Jan Lorison. Does not panic, holds his cool in these endurance races. Into the parabolica, there is Charlie Hollings in the background. The Lamborghini is flying into the Alboreto parabolica. In the middle of your screen now is Nicholas van Dierendonck. Here comes Charlie Hollings. Turns into the parabolica. the Lamborghini Super Trofeo a handful under brakes. Lorison will come across the line, will not improve this time. Some 3 seconds off his provisional pole position time. And Charlie Hollings will cross the line and he'll get another lap as well. 10 seconds left remaining in qualifying, doesn't improve, and the Lamborghini stays in position 3. Critically, he crosses the line with 6 seconds to go. This is his final lap of qualifying to try and put the 76 Lamborghini on grid 1. There is the checkered flag.
Yeah, checkered flag has come down now, so it's now or never for Charlie Hollings and Wame Font. Lucas Valcre thrown into the mix, albeit though 1.8 seconds behind. Jan Larijsen holds on to P1 at least for now. Looking on our screens, Jan Larijsen still out, setting another lap, not quite as quick as what he's prior sent that we've seen previously. Charlie Hollings, you can see how much he wants it. The car getting all sorts of out of shape, heading through Rogier, doing his utmost to extract every little bit of delta he can out of Monza. He'll now deep dive in towards the first Lesmo as well. The second one will come up very shortly. Grip levels are really tested through this period. He's gone purple in the first sector as Charlie Hollings. He now comes through the second one. The pressure on this lap has to be excruciating. He now has the Serigilio straight ahead of him, this long burst leading up through towards Ascari, which he'll then take, making his way through turns 8, 9 and 10 before then venturing down this next long straight. Jan Larijsen is found purple. Yeah, he has got traffic. This is less than ideal. He has lost time in the second sector. Jan Larijsen, though, has gone purple in the second sector. He could yet improve some more at this point. Jan Larijsen now heading down towards the Parabolica. Turn 11 here on this circuit. Charlie Hollings, you can see in the distance, just in the midst of plenty of cars that are just ahead of him. Now is Larijsen now around this final corner. Wame Font in second. That won't disturb Larijsen as he comes up towards the line. Not this time, into the pit lane. He must feel comfortable. I think he thinks he has it in the bag. But here comes Hollings, round in the Parabolica. How much of a difference did that traffic make? He's in third right now, but he will come up towards the line. He'll take the checkered flag here in qualifying. Is it enough for pole? Not this time. Third fast is where he remains. The crux of the issue was the traffic here.
Indeed, coming up into the Ascari chicane, he was purple in sector 1. Charlie Hollings had nowhere to go, had to get frustratingly on the brake pedal. Still, if we put things in perspective, the Super Trofeo Lamborghini from Team 76 will start on the inside second row of the grid. It is a 50-minute race later this afternoon. So what, one row on the grid is not going to count for much by the time the checkered flag waves. Jan Larijsen, 6 victories in 2022 and pole position for race 2 here this morning at Monza. Jan Larijsen for Q1 track racing, P1, Wame Font, P2. Hollings, who we just saw cross the line. The Brit, P3, then Valkyrie sharing that car with Dirk Schouten. John Deville, their P2 in the race yesterday, starts out of 5. Van Dierendong, Stefano Zanini, Glauco Solieri, Jahid Faisal Karima. Good job for the French driver to put the Street Art Aston 007 on grid 9. And then Fabio Fabiani on the outside of row 10. Florin Tincescu did not take part in qualifying. We'll see if they can start from pit lane for race 2 this afternoon. Jan Larijsen takes pole position for race 2 this afternoon. Lucas Valcre, P3, the car which led much of the race yesterday in the hands of Dirk Schouten. So there was a time deleted. The order is changed slightly. Charlie Hollings, despite not improving, will start on grid 2. So it's an outside front row start. Our timing screen just updating at this very moment. Charlie Hollings, car 76, P2 on the grid this afternoon. And Jan Larijsen, one hand on the championship trophy for 2022. Well, he starts at grid 1 this afternoon, takes pole position here with a time of 1:59.599, some 0.6 of a second faster than the rest of the field. Jan Larijsen, the championship leader, will start on pole position, and he's about to tell Alfredo Filipponi how he did it.
Jan Larijsen, pole position for race 2 this afternoon at Monza. It's dry this morning, but the track is slippery.
Yeah, it were not a typical condition for the quali, but yeah, some places were very tricky. So in the beginning, we have to find for some grip, but yeah, we made it. So pole position for race 2.
And you seem to enjoy Monza very much.
Yeah, I really enjoy Monza. It's something special to drive here. So yeah, I really enjoyed the circuit.
Another victory this afternoon?
We try.
We'll call you Remco then.
Okay, yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well, all smiles for Jan Larijs in his second pole position of the campaign. We'll see how he gets on later on when we go live for GT Cup Open Race 2 later on this afternoon. Take care.